Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Bearded Browns podcast today, guys. It's going to be a fun one. Browns go down in Foxborough 32-13, and we're here just to depressingly talk about it, folks. It's going to be a good one today. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe wherever you're listening to, share it, hit that notification button on YouTube. Comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the state of your Cleveland Browns as we go through each one of these topics. It'd be great to hear your opinion. Well, let's get into it, folks. We'll go straight into the Browns news this week. First on the docket, Kevin Stefanski has announced that Dylan will remain the starter. So that conversation is over. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
I'm used to it. Let's just move along. Right? I mean, that's what we're used to, correct? I mean,
Yeah, it's rough. Chad.
I don't know. We've made some changes. I don't know.
yeah, but our rookie injury
So
list.
I'll say, from me, from a relief standpoint, I'm kind of happy that I don't have to spend 2 weeks talking about like who should start this week, because the bye week, the last thing I want is a 2-week gap for everybody to speculate who's starting and who should start. The problem is you can't get away from the conversation of who should start given how bad things have been. So I guess on one hand, I'm relieved that he just came out and said it, like I'm not going to make a change like he did when Flacco, after some of the Flacco games. But on the other hand, like, it doesn't make me feel that much better, like knowing that they're set in that. So
Yeah,
I think probably like pretty discouraged by that.
I just all I say is I wonder how long that leash is. If he comes in against the Jets and has the same game as he did against the Pats, things might be different. If not, there's going to be a lot of fans revolting. On to the next one, Andrew Berry will not have a bye-week press conference, which, by the way, he's done every year since he's been here. It's not normal for NFL teams to do that. It's just something he's been doing since he's been here. So, like, outside of the NFL world, people are like, why are Browns fans mad about this? Why is the media mad about this? It's because he's done it since he's been here. And all of a sudden, now that we have tons of questions, he's like, no, we're good. I'm not going to do it.
That was
getting asked the same questions week in and week out or every other week. I mean,
you phrased it perfectly, because I thought for myself, like, oh yeah, this isn't it's not weird for a GM not to talk during the bye week, because like you don't always have something to cover. But yeah, for us, it does seem pretty significant because of the fact that he always does it. I guess it still doesn't change that fact for me, though, of like we're starting to get to the point, similarly with Barry. In fact, we've been there for a long time. Similarly with Kevin, like everybody's sick of Kevin not giving the answers that they want to questions. And then now people are mad that Barry's not going to come out to answer questions. I guess I just would love to hear from them too, like everybody else. It's good coverage. I always just like to hear more from people. Every reporter wishes that Kevin answered questions more truthfully, and also like this was an organization that like leaked out more information, was more candid. I think for me, though, I want to almost ask all like fans, what were you hoping to hear? What would you think he would possibly say that would have made you feel any better? So for you guys, I guess I'd present that to you guys. Like, was there something you thought he was going to say that would have made you feel like that's the answer I wanted?
Anything at all, but can you blame the guy for not wanting to get the same questions asked every other week? When is Shador going to start? What do you think about this guy? It's going to be the same every time.
Yeah, and the answers are going to be. I mean, when Shador going to start? He's going to say, that's really a Kevin question. It's up to
Yeah.
Kevin when he feels his guys are ready. You ask like, what do you think about this guy? He's going to say, well, that's a young guy who, we're hopeful for. We see a lot in him, and we're hoping he'll continue to develop and be a part of our future. Or if it's an older veteran, they're going to be like, the opposite. It's just they're going to be generic answers. He's not going to come out and be like, hey guys, we're going to bring Deshaun Watson back next year, so get ready for that. And also, like, we don't really like Shador. He sucks on the whiteboard. Like, he's not going to answer true questions. Like,
He's not gonna give us closure.
he's not going to give us anything.
Yeah,
And
he's
people
gonna
are
make
just
us
gonna be
more
frustrated.
mad. He's like, he didn't say
Right.
anything. Why did he come out here if he's not gonna say anything?
I
And
almost
now we're
see him.
gonna
I
be-
almost feel like he's dodging us, and I think that may actually be the better move because there's nothing he's going to say that's not going to annoy me. It's just going to be annoying.
Yeah, I agree. Him not being out during the bye week, and like Mike said, it doesn't really. He's just gonna have the same questions. He's just gonna spin the answers. He's not gonna get an answer. Local media is gonna get mad. They're gonna print saying how he doesn't talk. And I mean, we do it every year, but so let's just not overthink it. The only thing I am worried about though is Kevin did give a press conference, so that's a little. Kevin did kind of talk about his quarterback and the state of the offense, and
Said a little more than I thought he would
he
say.
a little more
Yeah.
than. And to me, that's a press conference, and I think maybe there's some fraction going on there. But I'll say that for a different day. Trade deadline is incoming. Are we buyers, sellers, or we're just gonna suck either way?
Yeah, curious what you guys thought. I think neither.
Yeah, I think if we do trade, we're going to trade for a younger piece that we could kind of like Campbell, right? So somebody that we can bring on for a couple more years, kind of have a control contract situation where we're not overspending, maybe even saving money. Someone that they think they can develop for the future.
Okay.
At this point, you would have to almost little to nothing to trade besides picks or your defensive players. That's all anybody wants because the whole offense is just trash right now. Nobody's
You don't want Judy?
dominating.
You guys aren't on the rumors that like the Browns could trade David Njoku.
I can see that because of the tight end move they made today. Unless Fannon's hurt because he had a little injury going out of New England, the New England game. They made 2 tight end moves this past yesterday actually. Bates
Yeah,
came back to the practice squad, so that kind of keeps my eye. But if there is somebody, I think Njoku would be because it's an expiring contract and he's 30. You're not going to sign him. So if a team calls, why not listen? All right.
I wondered about
Clearly,
that. If they had any intention of re-signing him or not.
yeah, we clearly know that Barry's not afraid to make moves, but I don't think he'll do anything drastic before the trade deadline. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, I agree. On to the next one. It seems like a repeat of last year. I feel like it's Groundhog's Day, but Kevin may turn over play calling to Tommy Reese this time, though. Do you think, guys, this is a good move or bad? You think he should just turn it over?
I'll go first, I guess. Yeah, I give it a shot. Why not? What else do we have to lose? That's why now I'm gonna say this. I'm kind of on a Shador train. We know Dylan is not what this team needs right now. It's 4 games in. Yeah, that's a sample size, but enough for me to move on. Try
Dude,
something else.
I love the Mike pivot.
I'm just trying to get it out there while we're talking about it. So
Yeah.
turn the play over to Tommy Reese, turn the quarterback over to Sanders. Let's see what we could do. Make this whole new scheme work, right? Let's make that happen. If not, then we'll
Mike,
go back
it
to
doesn't give you
what we-
pause. It doesn't give you pause, Mike, wondering if you, I guess maybe you wouldn't care, but if you turn it over to Dora and Tommy Reese at the same time, similar to what we talked about last year with Winston, like it doesn't give you any pause of like if it starts to look a little better or if it doesn't, like which piece of that puzzle is the impactful piece.
Well, no, I get it, but just like my job, it doesn't make sense, and that's what the Browns usually do: is something that doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
that's the
Most
way the
jobs,
Browns
yeah.
work, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think I the only reason why I would want Tommy to do the play calling because I want to know what's been different since he's been on board. because I feel like we've regressed even from last year. And I want to know if we've gotten better, that means it's more Kevin's fault with his hands on the his foot on the pedal as opposed to somebody else doing the play calling situational, and maybe not knowing. I know you don't want to talk about Dylan right now, but you don't know. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So I would like to see what Tommy does, and if he improves the offense, and then you have to question. My question would be, what value does Kevin have if he's not calling? If he's not this offensive person that we thought he may be? But we'll save
I
that
think
for
that's where I
dynasty season.
probably stand the most different from like every single Browns fan I talk to. Is that my view of the head coach is so much less related to the offense that we run.
But if you're
I-
if you hired him and they said, no, if they changed this, it's not on us to know. They said, well, he's an offensive guy, he's gonna be in charge of the offense. And every year Kevin says, no, I'm calling the plays because I know offense. I know what works for my offense. You would assume he's an offensive guy.
Yeah,
So
I
for
don't. He played defense in college. He started his career with defense. He just found his niche being a quarterback coach, then offensive coordinator, and then he enjoys calling plays. I guess where I separate it is it's almost like saying like if Tommy Reese comes in, is calling plays, and the offense looks better, and then they start winning, what are you going to do? Fire the head coach who might which means like everybody's going to be gone because he's not calling plays anymore. Like I almost would look at it as like last year, I didn't expect it to happen. I don't think any of us had very much faith um in Dorsey last year calling plays, but I think had it looked better, I don't think you would have fired Kevin. You would have just been like, good. Now he leave that guy calling plays. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking like if Tommy Reese calls plays and it did look better, then I'm like, okay, good. Now your head coach can do head coach things during the game that he's been doing during the practice week. So I always think of my head coach as like, yes, ours happens to call plays and a lot of other ones do, but I don't just think the Chiefs are good because Andy Reid's a good play caller. I think he's a good head coach
and
whose
they have a
job
good
is like,
quarterback.
whose job is like hire my coaches, communicate with everybody, make sure things are organized. Like that's what I think is a head coach's job. Kevin just also happens to take on an additional responsibility of game day play calling, and so do a handful of other coaches. For years, I've thought that's not great because it takes them away from doing another thing. The counter argument somebody told me was the reason it is good to have a head coach that calls plays is because every time you have a coordinator who calls plays and does well, he gets poached for a head coaching job, and you're
Yeah.
constantly having to start your offense over. So I hadn't really thought of that, but that's a good point. I just I don't mind him as a play caller. I think the offensive coordinator is more involved than anybody in Cleveland wants to admit in designing the actual offense and creating the weekly plan, even though Kevin calls it game day. I actually don't mind though if he gives it up and the other guy's good. I would almost just say, good, do all the other head coaching stuff and like
Yeah.
let that go.
Like coach.
Isn't the general rule of life if something's not working, try something new? Like that's just a general rule, right? You try
Sometimes,
something new.
I mean,
I
the
don't care
only
if it's in the
negative
middle of the year. It's
the
time
only
to
negative to
try
that for
something new.
me
That's
The only
it.
negative stuff for that for me is we always
What
assume
else,
trying
Chad?
something new
Chad,
will
what
be
else
better.
could be negative in this franchise than it already is? What more could be negative right now?
You could literally win no more games for the rest of this year.
You can
We've
literally
seen that
win no
happen.
more games with Kevin calling plays too.
Yeah, we've done that.
Maybe. Would you guys
Yeah.
expect that? Or do you think
Yeah, right now, if you would ask at the beginning of the season, no, I would not. But right now, the state of this offense and the way it's looked the last 3 weeks, yes. Even
Yeah.
We're
even with
5-20
even
in
with
the
the
last
win in
25 games. Come
Miami,
on.
even with the win at home against Miami, you left feeling, oh wow, we won that game. But when you really look at it, you're like, that's a mirage. Like that's not who we are.
Okay. I guess I could be wrong, but I think the thought of change is always good is just a stupid thing. It's
But
not. We've seen
change for not change sake or to be safe isn't always good either. because eventually,
No, yeah,
I'm not
that's
saying
true.
I'm not. I'm not.
I'm just saying Mike's specific point was why not change? There's no reason not to. And I'm like, well, sometimes it's because the next, like the quarterback situation. We'll talk about Shador. Why not change to Shador? The reason might be because he's actually DTR and it's going to spiral us into a nightmare. And like that is a truth. And where we're really frustrated with only winning, one out of the last 2 games. Like you have you could have a quarterback that could have lost the Miami game, guys. That's a real thing that exists. So, like, I think Browns fans should just I'm not saying you can't make a change at coach, quarterback, whatever. I'm just saying you should probably have the thought in the back of your head that changing could be worse. That's just
But also, changing can be good.
yeah.
Speaking of good, we're about to get into our next segment here: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Brought to you by Allstate. Call Doug White, get an insurance quote, and let him know the Bearded Brown sent you. Play it. All right, good, bad, and ugly, guys. Who wants the good?
I just texted
yeah.
immediately. I was like, we
uh,
didn't think it was doing.
I seen it pop up on the screen. Normally we have this decided before the show, and today we did not because
Okay.
we were going over the notes and we just do that. I you know what?
I have to do the ugly. I gotta do the ugly because everybody thinks I can't take that route.
All right, I'll do the good. I never do the good. Myles Garrett's 5-sack game, but we're gonna get into more of that later. I was impressed. Obviously, they're not a bad offensive line. They're not horrible, and the way he was finding ways in there impressed me and a lot of other people. And at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, this guy has no leverage on asking for a trade, even if he does have a 5-sack game, which is great because his team is in shambles right now. But the fact that he still went out there and showed what he's capable of doing, because there was a couple games where he was weak, not showing up. I'm not going to say not showing up, just not getting sacks and as many pressures. But this week, that boy showed up, and I think that was letting the team know, like, hey, guys, I'm here to do my job. I'm going to do my best damn job I can today, and all you should try it as well. At an away game, get everybody pumped up. Didn't work. That was the only downfall of that.
Bad. The offense staff / rosters making it impossible to evaluate anything, which is true. The offense sucks. You can blame the line. You can blame the quarterback. I blame the quarterback. You can blame the receivers. You can blame scheme. You can blame the coach. It's a wide variety of things. They all share the blame pie. I put more on Dylan than anything personally, but
blame pie a real thing?
I don't even know. That could be.
Because we should have that weekly on the show.
I'll blame pie. It'll be our own segment. Blame
nice
pie.
big slice.
Yeah,
like this.
Yeah,
sorry, I had to do it.
But you do a pie instead of the line. That's good. Yeah,
I like the pie chart.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Let's table that idea. Let's table that.
Yeah, let's table. I like the mid-year review. The mid-year review we're gonna do next week. I think the blame pie is a segment we need to hit.
Yep.
What percentage of each of these different people you just named to blame? I just think there's the way you said it is right. Every single part of the offense has a very notable flaw you can pick out, and so it makes it so hard to tell what's causing the most problems or like what would fix it. Like everybody wants that one fix, and it's just not there.
Yep.
And then for me, the ugly, I think the ugliest part of this game, and it's just so hard to argue, that Dylan Gabriel looked terrible. And I would say this looked like if you were to just show this to somebody and say, this is Dylan Gabriel, he's a rookie, this was his first game, you'd be like, ooh, pretty rocky. He looks like it's his first game. The problem is this was not his first game. And not only was it his fourth game, you could make the argument, and I will, that this was the game with the least roadblocks for him to have success. It was the game where he's not on 2 practices on the road to London. He's not in an incredibly treacherous environment on the road against the Steelers, who are absolutely lights out against rookie quarterbacks for decades. Now, it was not in a rainstorm where you're like, well, he couldn't throw the ball well, but in that wind and rain, like who would? And the field's wet, the ball's wet. This was a game in good weather where the line played reasonably well, where you had most of your players on the field, probably one of your best overall casts you've had since the start of the season, and he looked more lost than he's looked in any game. It was his worst PFF score. It was his worst statistical game, and like there is no reason why this should have been the game that was that bad, honestly. So that was the ugliest part of the week.
Really, really bad. We'll talk more about that when we get into the offense as far as hitting Dylan. But yeah, he was just frustrating to watch. Let's get back in. Let's get into the game recap. We'll start with the defense first because they're make us more happier than the offense right now. And we're gonna get right back into Miles. Miles breaks the record with 5 sacks. And he did it I feel like at a fast pace. Like his pace of sackage, if that's even a term. His sackage percentage. That should be a stat. Sackage percentage.
No, it should not be.
It was very impressive. I remember like I think because Sam, we were talking in the chat in the text, and Sam was like, Mike and Sam were arguing because Mike's like, "Well, that's his 5th sack," and Sam was like, "No, it's 4." I was like, "Man, look at the stat sheet," and I'm forgetting ESPN. It's 5. You missed one. He said, "Yeah, I walked away. He must have got one real quick." So that's how fast it was happening.
Yeah,
Drake
there's one drive he popped like 2 in a row. And by the way, it's worth mentioning, not only did he set a franchise record for the most sacks in a game, he set a NFL record for the most sacks by somebody under 30. He needed 1 in this game to set that record, and he walked out of this game with 5. So
and you know what? You know what? Also, that allowed him to move from 11th on the sack total to tie for 1 in one game. 5 sacks, 7 pressures, 32.1% pass rush win rate, and his sack percentage drop back leads the league at 14.71%. Every time a quarterback drops back, he's there 14.71% of the time. Miles is in your face. Can you imagine Miles in your face? So scary.
It's crazy too, because like he had like a slow week or 2 and people were like, "What's happened to Miles? Is he quitting? Is he just doesn't have the energy? Are they scheming for him? Are they just putting too many bodies out there for him to get around?" And then a week like this comes by after like a quiet week in Miami, which is a much worse team than the Patriots from all we can tell, especially on offense. And then he just explodes for 5, and you're like, "Oh, okay." Like
there he is. He's back.
You talk about regression to the mean. Sometimes it's not always coming back down to earth. Sometimes it's elevating back up to where you belong all along.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what he does against the Jets after the bye week. He's gonna probably get a couple more there because their offensive line isn't that good. Also, he holds the ball a lot. Fields holds the ball too. Another thing about Miles, his sideline anger. What I've seen on social are 2 different things. First is he got his money. Why is he mad? And I heard it also here. Why is he mad? It's justified. He picked his team. He got this money. And I also saw people respond with like, I mean, he's a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to go in there and make the best for his team. And that's where I stand. When I saw him throw that helmet, I'm like, and at first I was like, we always complain that Miles isn't a leader. That shows leadership. If he was on the sidelines, like laughing it up, like laughing, people would complain about that too, right? Like, why is Miles laughing? He should be pissed that he's losing 32-13. Yes. Yeah, well, he can't do anything wrong there. So I'm on the side of I'm glad he threw his helmet, showed some emotion, showed some leadership that he's tired of losing. I don't care how much he got paid.
Yeah, that brings us right up to the next point. It's perfect. I wasn't mad that he got mad as well. I was not. I'd be frustrated as well. You're trying to break that record, and boom, you get taken out of the game.
He probably would have got 6 too.
The only criticism I've had of Miles the whole time was his comments that he's more frustrated than the fans. And so I think a lot of people took that to a next level. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so sure. I don't think he's more frustrated than the fans because he's been dealing with this for 5 years of losing in his career. And we've been watching this losing for like 25 years, most of 25 years. But I think people took that way too far, as if like because we are more frustrated that like he's not allowed to be frustrated. And that's not true at all. Like he should be frustrated. Like, yes, he gets the money. And by the way, a different perspective, he took the money because they couldn't trade him anyway.
Yeah.
So this has just always been my take on this is he wasn't like, I want traded, and they said, have this money, and he was like, okay, I'll stay. It was more like I think Andrew Berry went to him and said, given your contract restrictions, given the cap, given what we have sitting there with Deshaun Watson, we cannot trade you to somebody and take the giant cap hit with the way we structured your contract into the future just to get like 2 late first rounders. Like that is going to destroy this team's ability to be competitive, even after like with Deshaun leaving in another year, whatever it is. So like, yes, he stayed and took the money. I think the option was like you can either play out your contract at $17.9 million a year for 2 more years here and lose, or since you're here anyway, let's extend you a little and give you 40. And he said, who knows how you get hurt or what's going to happen with his career. He took the money and staying a little longer over the money and less money and staying. Like, so
Yeah.
for people that are like, you chose the money, like he didn't have that many choices. It was either stay for 2 years for half the money or stay for 4 years for double the money times 2 extra. And he chose that route. I can't imagine which person's like, I'll take my chances turning 32 and trying to find a new team over like, that might be when the Browns can turn it around by then. So I think he knew he was stuck here for the worst part.
Also add
I'm
to the
gonna-
fact that he does have a no trade clause now, so he can pick where he wants to go
That helps.
whenever that happens.
When it's trade
Go ahead,
time,
Mike.
which
Yeah.
could be in 2 years. People will happily take that salary
Yeah.
like they did with Micah Parsons if it doesn't cost them the world to get him there. But much like Parsons, you're going to go to a team that thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl. And when they say we're going to give you 2 firsts, they're expecting that's like number 28 and number 32, not
Yeah.
like here's number 1 and number 5.
Yep. I find it funny, Mike. We talked about this yesterday. To get off topic here. I mean, last week it was like, man, the YouTube chat was low. I was like, because we won. And now the YouTube chat is blowing up because we lost. That's just how
We
Browns
like
fans are.
complaining more than we like cheering.
Hey,
We're almost finding it
continue
awkward
on.
to cheer.
Yeah.
Fork, thank you for subscribing on YouTube and joining us tonight. Thank you.
Appreciate the love. Subscribe, comment, share. On to Miles. We
Parsons
talked about
Schlesinger,
Miles.
man.
Yeah. Miles did say
Oh,
win over performance is important, so that's good.
Yeah, he said he would have rather won that game than over his performance, which is a good-hearted kid.
Probably
When
the
you want
right
to hear
answer.
stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a leader. You know, he would have been like, yeah, I mean, sure, but I did get 5 sacks. I contributed. No, he said I'd rather win. So
Speaking of that, I'm going to hit one of Euphoric's comments. He said, our offensive line has no leader. Or our offense has no leader. Dylan hardly talks to his teammates.
I don't know how much
Yeah.
Dylan's talking to his teammates. Like, what?
Yeah,
Where are you getting that?
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I'm not saying he does.
He's in the huddle. He literally talks to them
does.
every play.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not saying he
point.
doesn't. I'm not saying he does. I'm saying I don't have proof that he does either or because the cameras are not on him. They're on Shador. They're on Shador more than Dylan. And maybe Dylan. There's people who have that person, and he's Hawaiian. He's from the beach. He's very like chill. He's probably not. He's not a hype person. He's probably quiet. He's probably a silent assassin that just hasn't found his assassin ability yet.
You guys might hear Angel cuss this show. I'm just saying.
If we would have done a show Sunday night, I probably would have said some choice words. I'm just frustrated at Dylan. I'm frustrated. I mean, I'm frustrated the whole off.
If you were ever going to be frustrated at Dylan, it's going to be today. But we'll get to Dylan as we go.
Yeah. Next is
that's why we
do
the show Tuesday
on Miles. Like, I think he loves having a good performance. I think that's important. I think most guys who are competitive want to win games. They don't care if they set some 1-game free throw or 3-point record or a single game sack record. Like in a couple years, he'll be happy he has. When he retires, he'll be excited that he has that record. But losing sucks. And so is it to the point where it's like, that's not a shocking statement. And I get that it was asked, but like, yeah, would he rather have come out of this game with a win? And would they be in the locker room getting a game ball for his 5-sack performance? Sure. Nobody wants to leave a loss on this low note and then like celebrate his own personal like accolade. Like
Yeah.
nobody
I
competitive
mean,
anyway.
because Miles also wants to win because it's not just the sack totals, it's not just the defensive MVPs. He wants to be an MVP. You can't win and you can't be an MVP on a losing team. And he wants to win
True.
Super Bowls because he wants to be known as one of the greatest. If there's that asterisk of that little dot or asterisk aside of your name saying you've never won a Super Bowl, that kind of has a little blemish on your name. So, I mean, that's something to think about.
I think more
Uh,
for
no I in
quarterbacks
team.
than, but
There's no
yeah,
I in team. That's one motto I always live by. Can't do it without your team.
True. Specifically,
If you
a
wanted that
quarterback.
Super Bowl that bad, you would ask for a trade, and you would have went through with all your bullshit that you went through in the beginning of the year.
But
that's what
he-
you say, but I just disagree. I don't think he
Yeah.
could have been. I think Barry straight up shut down and said, "We cannot trade you."
I also think
So-
his agent said, "Listen, man, you're gonna lose out on some money. Like, let's be real. You can make some money, and then 2 years ask for a trade if they suck. But let's just deal with it." On
Yeah.
to Carson Schlesinger, his high ankle sprain, which I thought it was going to be a lot worse than week to week. Now, I do want to say the Browns often misdiagnose injuries to where they say week to week and they're off for 2 months when they should just put them on IR and then table it. But
Mhm.
we'll go week to week here and
So the
say
medical
Carson's
side
week
of
to
this
week.
is a high ankle sprain usually takes 4 weeks before you can like get into like full activity again, and usually you got another week or 2 before you're actually competitive. That's kind of your window, 4 to 6 weeks. I think this came from, I think, Adam Schefter saying they had an MRI. It is a high ankle sprain, but it wasn't as severe of one. And because of the bye week, they're just labeling him week to week. Again, we saw that same thing with Mike Hall, where they thought, well, we're going to just monitor him week to week when they could have put him on IR. And it turned out he went 7 games out when they could have had him on IR for 4 and then opened his 21-day window and had kept an extra person on the roster if they had anticipated that. They would have never had to cut Gage Larvadain or somebody like that. But the moral of the story is like it is at least encouraging that there's a chance that it's not a 4 to 6 week injury. This isn't something I would come back and get mad at if in 4 weeks he's still out. I think they're more looking at it as there's at least a shot for him to come back. And not to mention, much like the next injury guy we'll talk about, he is very young. So there's a difference between a high ankle sprain and any injury on somebody 22 and on somebody 30. It's just a difference. We've all been there years ago. The difference between 22 and 30 is astounding.
You pull your back, you're down for 2 weeks for me. At least.
On a non-injury note, though, Carson Schlesinger made more incredible plays today. He made reads that
an interception,
even as good as even Bush, as good as he's been this year, he made reads that Bush couldn't make. He made better tackles. He made that interception. He was having what might have went down as his best game had he not got rolled up. We've talked about self-inflicted wounds on this team so many times. We have so many tackles who are injured on our team because another tackle or guard has fallen into him. This was one where he collided with Isaiah McGuire, and like the frantic nature of this game, I guess, can always lead to that. It just feels like this keeps happening to the Browns where like one guy on their team rolls up on the knee or ankle of another guy and we keep hurting our own teammates. And it's such a frustrating thing to watch.
Yeah. Kind of probably will ruin his rookie of the year chance on defense because he's gonna be out, but still, he's still a solid player.
If he makes it back in 2-3 weeks, maybe he's okay. But you're right, he was on track to be defensive rookie of the year for sure.
Next question, I'm going to table these together for time. This continues to be the strength of the team until they quit, which by week 12, 13, we'll see where that's at. And we've seen at times, though this is the strength of the team, that the book is out on his defense as far as play calling and their weaknesses and how certain offenses, if they're smart enough, they can exploit them. Or is it just because our offense sucks so bad, our defense is just too tired, and they just give in?
Thoughts?
Go ahead, Chad.
I tend to think it's the second one. People say a lot that the defense that like, oh, the book is out. The offenses are figuring out this defense. I think that's true. I think offenses have figured out this defense. I think offenses figure out defenses all the time, though, and it becomes like one of those situations where, much like we talk about the running game, like our offensive line is not what we wish it was right now. But back in the year 2020, every single team in this league knew we were going to run the ball, and we ran it anyway, and we did it pretty successfully. And then in 2021, when Baker's arm got hurt, there was even more emphasis on, well, Baker can't get it down the field, so we could stack the box against Nick Chubb in this offense, and we ran, and it didn't matter. I feel that's what I kind of feel like the defense is at this year, where it's like, yeah, teams know what this defense does. Schwartz has been running this style of defense for years, not just even here. But the reality is someone is going to get you. You set yourself up for big plays, and somebody's going to get you, and a really good a quarterback or just a really savvy offensive coordinator, which McDaniel is one for New England. He's been doing this a very long time, and unfortunately for him, nobody likes him as a head coach. But fortunately for New England and Mike Vrabel, he's probably going to be an offensive coordinator there for a very long time, and he's got a great quarterback. My point becomes, yeah, they know what you're going to do. Myles Garrett, this defensive line, and our secondary and linebackers have been so good. Most of the time, it doesn't matter. We're still going to do what we want to do to you because we're more physical, we're better, we have better players. The problem with this team you find is they look very different, especially in the fourth quarter. That's why I don't think teams aren't figuring them out throughout the game and in the fourth quarter nail it. They're just out there after all these 3 and outs and turnovers and whatever it is. And I think by the end, they're just crashed.
You just cleared up my answer to that. So perfect. Tyson Campbell out due to concussion protocol, which is typically like a 9-day thing. They have like this 5-step program that they go through for evaluation to pretty much say whether or not they could play. So I don't know.
If there's such a thing as good timing for a concussion, this is it, though, because with the bye week, most players, unless it's like a very severe situation, are back from a concussion after missing 1 game. And that game this week would be the bye week. And we are incredibly shorthanded at that position. And if he goes out and Miles Harden has to like move to that outside corner, and then you have to find someone else to cover the slot, you are in deep trouble, even against the Jets, if you don't have him out there.
Yeah, I didn't realize the offense, New England's offense, had it for 36 minutes. Yikes. That could be why the defense kind of fell through toward the end there. Speaking of horrible yikes, our offense. This is where we get to talk about Dylan Gabriel, folks. This is where we can let it all out. Just if you're in the chat, tell us how you really feel about Dylan Gabriel. Give us your love, your hate, your maybe give him a couple more games. Just let us know. But my question to you guys is, have we seen enough of Mr. Dylan Gabriel?
Easy,
AKA
yes.
the computer.
Done. Send him on his way for now. Let's see what else we have to try to pull this team back together, build that locker room morale up, maybe, or lose the rest of what we got. I don't know. I'm at the point now where I'm done. Just put Sanders in and see what we have. Use them as trade bait. Use any of them as trade bait. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel's trade bait is just drastically dropped. So
Yeah, you can't
I was
trade.
going to say trade bait. Who's going to trade for him right now after that game?
You can't trade for him.
I guess going back, I would almost be curious out of you guys. We did talk about this earlier. We've talked about how long do you give a quarterback based on like what we've seen in the past, both good and bad. How long do you think it takes a quarterback to like get his stride and get himself in position?
Let me answer that really quickly. The last couple games that we played are the easier part of our schedule. The guy is still trash, even though the weather permitting the Miami game that we did win by running the ball, which what these fans tell Kevin to do every single week in and week out, because again, we don't have anybody that could throw the ball. We have nothing to lose right now. So why not put Sanders in? There's nothing to lose, guys. Our playoff berth is gone. That's shot. That was shot 4 weeks ago. I could have told you that, but It's time to move
That was
on.
shot before the
I mean-
season started. It's time
Yeah,
for
it was-
people to realize like this team was
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
going to playoffs. Even if these quarterbacks were pretty good, they're rookies. They're not going to lead an okay offense to the playoffs. I don't know who.
And if
was
you want to
still
shut
thinking
the
that,
fans up and just calm the Cleveland-esque thing that everybody loves to thrive on in the city, put Shador in, see what he could do. Let the fans know. Let them know. Let them know what's
so Mike
up.
is on the 4 games. 4 games is your picture train.
With the easiest
That's
part
the
of our
least.
schedule.
This has not been the easiest part of our schedule. New England is 6-2.
Miami
lead the division.
Dolphins,
The
Minnesota
Minnesota
Vikings. We could have won
Vikings,
that.
the Pittsburgh Steelers are first in our division by a lot.
And what
So-
games did he show anything in? Any of it? What game did you see
I
anything
think
from Dylan Gabriel that
his
was
best
like,
game
man, that
probably
might be the guy for the rest
Minnesota.
of the year?
So that's not my question. I'm not saying what game. I'm not saying there was a game that I saw was good. I'm saying you're saying that you can tell the future of a quarterback for the rest of his career. 4 games is all you need, as long as one
As
of
of-
them's Miami.
As
long
of
as one's
right
Miami.
now, listen, I'll tell you why. As of right now, we have 2 number 1 draft picks next year, right? Why wouldn't you want to see Shador Sanders in an NFL game react? You could use those first 2 draft picks on something that you need, like a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, not another quarterback that's going to shit the bed
So that's
like
my
every other
question.
one has
So-
since '99.
So are you giving? So you're saying though, but in 4 games you'll also know if Shador Sanders is the guy.
You'll see more. If you see more than you do out of Dylan Gabriel, then yes. I mean, I'm not saying it's our franchise quarterback by any means in 4 games. You're never going to find that out. But to get a sample size, let's get a sample size now.
Well, that's why I'm asking you. What is the sample size you need to tell a quarterback? You keep going to
I'll
like
take 4.
this is
Yeah,
a Dylan conversation.
if I'm saying to take Dylan Gabriel out now, how is 4 games not enough? I already said put Shador in. 4 games
That's
is
not-
enough.
Hold on. Answer.
I just
I'm gonna
answered the
answer a
fucking question 3
I'm
times.
going to answer. I'm going to ask a question. You answer with a number.
4.
How many
Chad?
do you need
4.
to see of Shador Sanders?
4.
You need to see.
Let's
4
see the
Shador
difference.
Sanders.
Yeah,
Okay.
give them each 4 games. Whoever
Well,
does
we have
better,
a lot more
keep that
than
guy.
we have a lot more than 4 games left. That's why I'm asking.
4.
I said you
Just
went
play
straight
the
for
kid.
that question. You went straight to a Dylan Gabriel conversation. I was just asking a quarterback, any quarterback.
I was doing like
Jackson
you did. I was
Dart.
explaining my answer.
So my
Yeah.
turn. So my
Yeah.
question is, my answer to Chad's question is based upon performance each week. And I can give you some stats to prove why I think Dylan isn't the guy based upon these stats. Week 5, his passing grade 63.5. Week 6, he got worse, 52.5. Week 7, guess what? It got worse, 58.6. In week 8, against a team that was susceptible to the pass. You could have passed on this team. There was open receivers on this team. You didn't see him. He got his lowest grade, 38.4. He's progressively gotten worse every week. His lowest passing grade, he's the lowest passer in the NFL, minimum 100 attempts, worst in the uncatchable throw rate, lowest in the BTTS, third lowest in turnover worthy passes, lowest positive passing grade, second worst rhythm throw rate in the league right now in 4 games. Also, I'm not done. Behind the line of scrimmage, this is his passing in the last 8 weeks. Maybe it's not all on him. It's a play calling. I agree with that. Beyond 10 yards, 14 passes. 11 to 15 yards, 2. Both of them touchdowns, credit to him. But behind the line of scrimmage, 5. He ranks last in yards after yards, YPA, and deep ball percentage. He is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I can say, based upon 4 games, I'm not saying Shador is the answer, but I'm saying
am I.
I've seen enough to want to see if Shador is the answer. And if Shador is not the answer, bring in Bailey Zappi, because I want to see if his second run is the answer. I'm just looking for an answer. That's what I want. Heck,
That's exactly what I think fans are looking for, but I just don't know that translates as smoothly to an actual functioning football team.
no, I
as
agree.
fans
You
say.
can't keep on
And
switching.
that's
I
usually
agree.
my pause. Yeah, but that's exactly, you say that at the end after a giant rant of I got to get this guy out, and then your next one is we can't just keep on switching. So
No, I'm
Shador
talking
comes
about, I'm
in
talking
and
about
the
the
next.
Zappy.
Hold on,
Like you
hold
don't,
on,
you don't,
hold
you
on.
don't bring Zappy in. You just keep Shador.
What if Shador comes in next week? So this is where my headspace is at, because again, I think I was very clear about what I thought Dylan Gabriel's my guess. It's just a guess. You have to see it. My guess about what I thought Dylan Gabriel was going to be in the NFL was, do you guys recall? Obviously,
we all agree a backup.
Long-term backup in the NFL, at best a system game managing quarterback. So, which I would say is exactly what we saw the first 3 weeks. The shock was this last week. I expected to see the same, and we saw way, way, way worse. So I've gotten in conversations all over socials about, well, this is the worst a quarterback can play, and you just tallied off a bunch of bad stats. Do you want to go over Dorian Thompson-Robinson's stats quickly?
I don't have those.
I can tell you one stat: 0 touchdowns, 7 interceptions is his touchdown-interception ratio.
Yeah, he was horrible. I agree.
So I'm not saying this happened. I don't expect this to happen. If Shedeur Sanders is somebody, let's look at this 2 different ways. One, let's just pretend Shedeur sucks. I don't know. Let's just pretend he sucks. If he comes out in the next game and he throws 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, Mike, Angel, now what?
I think his game is he's going to throw interceptions. I'm at the point right now that I need throw some interceptions. I don't care. I just want to see some offense. I want to see some
touchdowns, 3 interceptions. We lose to the Jets 30-10. The Jets with 1 win. We lose 30-10.
That's his first game. All right, play him the next game. Let's see if he learns.
0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So the next game he comes out, he throws. Next game he comes out, he throws 1 touchdown. We run for a touchdown. He throws 2 interceptions. So now
he's growing.
One touchdown.
So we got Joe Flacco back. Cool.
1 touchdown, 5 interceptions now.
And Joe Flacco
now there's still 7 games left to go. Now what?
Let's bring it, man.
Bailey Zappi, bro. Bailey Zappi. Bring him in.
That's exactly where you'd be feeling.
I get what you're saying. You probably have to do a cutoff. So after the Jets game, if you give Dylan a week to prepare for the Jets and he comes back and throws another 38 completion percentage, worse in the league that week, are you going to trot him out there again against the, I believe is it the Vegas?
You know what would make my decision? How do you feel about the guy that's sitting behind him? Do you think, because the way I've thought they were playing it, and I haven't swayed from this, I know there's these theories all over the place. You yourself, Angel, said you think there's all this smoke in the background. You think he's the nightmare.
A lot of smoke.
You are agreeing like he should go out there, and at the same time, talking out the other side of your mouth, you're like, there's a bunch of stuff wrong. He's not mature. He's a nightmare for this team.
I agree.
He's not a leader.
I could tell you a couple of things. He is not mature because he's going to Mary Kay Cabot saying that he wanted to play, but the team told him not to play. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. And number 2, he's liking other people's tweets when he's saying that he's better than Dylan Gabriel. He's very immature. But my point is this.
See how that could have a point outside of just throwing on affecting an entire team.
No, 100%. But I think I hope he can come in and lead a team down the field and score more than 17 points and learn to mature. You know who's also having maturity issues right now? Cam Ward. Dude's cussing at the sidelines, yelling at his coach. He got his coach fired. Do you think they're benching this guy? No, he's young. Let him develop. I have a little fear of Shedeur and his maturity. I've been very vocal with you guys about that. Last preseason game.
So with the less mature person, he's young, let him develop. But with the other young person on the team, it's
because he cannot throw the ball. That's the caveat here. He cannot throw the ball. Did you see him throw 40 yards? It literally was in the air for 30 minutes. When he threw the ball deep, first of all, he had to run out the pocket, and then he threw the ball deep. It took everything within his source of human strength to throw the ball 40 yards for an interception.
And he threw it out of bounds for the record. It's a terrible throw.
Yeah,
anyways,
horrible.
That's not the point. And he's my point is not Dylan. I think we all agree Dylan played like shit this week. He looked worse than he's ever looked. I guess my thought is more of, I'm not on the board of that because of Dylan. You make the next decision. I think you make the next decision based on Shedeur, and I'm starting to feel like I'm the only person that thinks that, which is fine. It's an opinion. It's everybody's opinion. We don't know how it's going to work out. He could be incredible. He could stink. I think this decision is not made on Dylan. I think they are purposely holding Shador because they think if he has a chance, but to have a chance, it has to go a certain way. And that's when I would make my move. You guys keep saying it's because I've seen enough for Dylan. I want the coaches to see enough from Shador.
And that's
And when
probably
they
why they
see enough
haven't
from
pulled the
Shador,
trigger.
that's exactly the point is,
Yep.
and some people don't trust Kevin and they're like, well, I don't want to wait till Kevin because I don't trust him. That's fine. You don't have to trust him. A lot of people shouldn't trust him. But my point is everyone thinks this decision should be made on Dylan. I think this decision should be made on Shador. If Shador after the bye week makes these big strides and he's not the problem that Angel says he is in the background, and he's not.
Oh, he's always going to be a problem in the background. That's who he is.
So then
He's
are
the
you going to
end-
reward
he
him
is.
by giving him an elevation? You're going to promote him
You-
for that?
You have no choice. You drafted that. You knew that
You
was
could
going to come
literally
in.
never play him. If he's
Never
problematic
so
and he's bad for the team,
you want to draft a quarterback, all this processing of trading up, and then say, you know what, we're never going to play you.
in the 5th round, if he's a problem, yeah, I'm fine not playing. I was
Oh,
fine never
yeah.
playing Perrion Winfrey, and they drafted him in the 4th round because he was a problem.
Yeah, he
And so
was
they cut
a
him.
head case. I
And if
agree.
he's a problem, I would
Uh,
rather cut him than play him. I'm not going to promote him for being a problem. And I'm not even the one that said he's been a problem. You have. That's why I'm so surprised. You're like, desperately,
because
let's promote him.
I've been
Let's
consistent.
take
I'll
this
tell you this.
behavior and let's reward this behavior with more playing time.
Because the reason
That's
why
the example you're setting for the whole team is
reason
you're
why
a problem
he is
and
a
we're going to play you
problem.
anyway.
Do you want to know why he's a problem? Because he's not playing. The longer he sits, the louder he gets. And it's going to be a problem every week because he thinks he is the better quarterback. And
He
I
should
believe
think that.
and
Yeah,
I
he
think I
should think
believe
that.
realistically he is the better quarterback.
But
Now,
here's the
is there going to
question.
be
You don't
some
think
issues?
Amari Thrash thinks he could be doing better than Isaiah Bond? I haven't heard a word from him.
No,
You know?
what again? Isaiah Thrash is a different personality than Shador. Totally different personality. And this is probably why he fell to the 5th round, by the way.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
This is his issue.
So this is
people
probably
don't
why he
want to
fell to the
deal
5th
with
round.
people don't want to
But
deal with his personality. But that's why I
you
said I don't
have-
feel like you reward that personality. You are either you're basically they may be, and I don't even know if this is actually the case. They may be saying you need to get your shit together, and when you do, you can play football. And if he's saying I'm not gonna, then he doesn't get to play football. I don't care how bad Dylan is.
If that is the
he can't get
case-
his stuff in line, he doesn't get to play.
What are you going to do when you're going against the Jets, and most likely you're probably win because I think the defense can help you win that game. God forbid we lose that game, because if it's Dylan's fault that we lose that game, and you think Shador is loud now, wait until we lose against the Jets because he's going to get louder. And then you go, you think you're going to be Jacksonville? I mean, Baltimore coming in at home with Dylan Gabriel? No, you're not going to beat the Raiders because you never win in LA. It doesn't matter Kenny Pickett's quarterback or not. You don't win in Vegas. You don't win, and you don't win on the West Coast. And the 49ers, you don't think Shanahan, you don't think you're going to lose against Shanahan? He's smart. He's going to whip up this
exactly
defense.
who I think we're going to lose against. I put my
Titans will probably win
every year.
Okay, so
listen, real quick, guys. You want to know why Cleveland and all the national media is in an uproar about this whole entire thing? We talked about it numerous times on the show. Well, yes, but it's now getting more bait because the guy was supposed to be a 3rd-round draft pick in the beginning of the year, right before the draft. Remember that, right? The Browns knew what they were doing by picking him up in the 5th, and it caused all kinds of controversy. Now you're not going to play a 5th-string quarterback, or I'm sorry, a 5th-round pick over a 3rd-round pick. You'd look already dumber than you do. So you have to start Dylan. You got to see what he's worth, see what he can do, and obviously a lot of Cleveland has seen enough.
They're probably like, we saw a lot in Dylan in the draft process. We don't think that's why I was asking about just an arbitrary number. I would bet, I said before the season, I think it takes about 8 games to get a good feel about whether a quarterback can play or not. That's just an arbitrary amount of time in games where I think you really get at least a good feel. The problem is you didn't start either of them at the beginning of the season, so you can't get 8 games out of both of them. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But you can get close. You can get 6 games out of Dylan and 7 games out of Shador. Is that right?
Yeah. Hold on,
You
let
can
me
get
We're
come
going
6
back.
back
games
to
out of
mine.
you can get 6 games out of Dylan and 7 games out of Shador, and I'm totally fine
6.
with that.
So 6 games would be the Ravens game, and then
And
Shador starting Vegas. That would be
and
fun.
again, I'm not anti Shador in any way. It's just I had Shador graded like literally everyone else on the planet as higher than Dylan. I think he fell for a lot of reasons that are relevant to football. They make it seem like it's his personality in the media. That stuff's relevant to your football team. That's why he fell. It's not because they don't want him on Twitter. It's because it's relevant to the focus of your entire team when you've got a nuisance in the locker room. And again, I can't even say that that's the case because I haven't seen a ton out of him, and I expected to see more directly from him. I expected more posts from him on TikTok. Like, I expected almost like Juju Smith-Schuster level, like, visibility, and I'm actually surprised and impressed I haven't seen that. I'm not the guy who is upset with Sanders. I'm surprised he's been as quiet as he has. My wonder is just what's happening in the background that we don't know, and when Angel says, like, "I think there's smoke and I think this is a disaster," that's where I have my pause of starting this guy because I don't wanna start somebody who's not being a good teammate or being a nightmare in the locker room. And again, my biggest pause is I don't want to start him just because Dylan sucks. I'd rather Dylan just keep taking the bullets then and and suck for another week or two, and then put Shador in when you're like Mike said, like this is the easiest part of our schedule. Well, it's still not easy. We still have to play the Steelers again, the Bills. We still have to stay the Ravens. If you
Play
think
Joe
Shador
Flacco.
has a chance, and the best way for Shador to get through this is to get him in there when the games are the easiest and he has had the most time. I can survive another 2-3 weeks of Dylan if it's to make Shador better. And for all the people out there that are like, the only way to get better is play, tell that to Patrick Mahomes, tell that to Jordan Love, tell that to Aaron Rodgers, tell that to all these people who sat, and then when they came in,
They're ready.
just were great.
That is the only hope I have is that longer he sits, the better he gets. Man, I'm coming up with some good words today. I got the longer he sits, the louder he gets. Now the
I'm not
longer he
giving you
sits, the
credit
better he
for
gets.
sackage. That's not that's
Seconds, come on. No, I do agree. There's some comments. There's one commenter that said Shador's not going to help the team because the team around him sucks. I'm not saying he's a savior, but I do think he will bring. Now he's going to take a lot more sacks. I'll say that, but I do think he'll bring more excitement, deep threat. And if we're going to lose, I want to at least be excited when we lose, right?
Mhm.
So that's I'm willing to give. I'm willing to give Dylan 2 more games. That'll give him 6 games. I'll support him. And if he sucks after Baltimore, I'm going to buy me a
the rub will
Shador
be if he
Sanders
somehow is
jersey.
good, which I just don't think any of us expect him to be good. I mean, I kind of thought his best window would be Brock Purdy. And when Brock Purdy was playing well, they had Debo Samuels and Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey, and we do not have and a great offensive line, and we do not have that offensive setup. But yeah, my worry for Shador is this team looks like shit. The offense isn't running well. We've got injuries on the offensive line. Our receivers are dropping passes everywhere. Now we've got our best player probably on offense, our best weapon, Judkins, out with a shoulder injury. I'm not in any hurry to rush Shador Sanders into that. If the big worry is he had really bad college habits that if he can break, he can be great. And if he can't, he's not going to be any good. I don't want him running for his life in a terrible situation. I would rather I guess I'm just a little more patient in that, I expect us to lose, and I'd rather gut it out for the good of him rather than take the stage of, I want him in for my entertainment. Go dance, and I'll watch and cheer. Like, I want to see him go in whatever his best scenario is. And I do agree with one smartest thing Dylan's ever said, because I'd love to see more smart play, but if you're waiting for the perfect time, you're going to wait forever. That's probably true of Sanders too. I just think there are better times than now. Sure, the Jets are a good competition level team to play, but they did just score 30 something on the Bengals, so it's not like
Bengals defense sucks, though.
It's not like there's
Bengals
any
defense
gimmies,
horrible.
right? I'm just saying there's
Yeah.
not any gimmies,
Yeah.
right? It's not like, we even the
And they
Titans
are
are the
also
closest
coming
thing
off
to a
the
gimme.
bye too. They're coming
Yeah,
off a bye,
yeah.
so they're going to prepare too. So it's going to be
They'll be
even
ready.
matchup.
But yeah,
But
I'm more on the board of like, I wish we had more trust in the coaches to like make this decision, but I would rather just base Shador starts on Shador and not on Dylan sucks, so we have to go to the next, even if it's to his detriment. I think it was to Dylan's detriment when they put him in. Like in London with 2 days practice, like nobody thought that was a great idea. It's just people
Yeah.
were frustrated. We hated Flacco. We were ready to see a change. Answer me this, everybody, as honestly as you can. Would Flacco have been better in the last 4 games than Dylan was?
I would say about the same.
Okay.
Probably about the same.
Well, no, I lied.
think
Maybe a
better.
little better.
Uh,
Sorry, I think a
I
little
think
better.
better.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
a little
Dylan's
better.
Dylan's
We
been so
couldn't
bad.
wait.
Yeah, better.
We
Yeah.
couldn't wait to get Dylan in there because we were frustrated with Flacco, and now we can't wait to get Sanders in there because we're frustrated with Dylan, and we're not thinking of the big picture. And in a team where you're very likely to need a starting quarterback next year, and this year you're not getting anywhere, I just think the big picture is set yourself up for quarterback success more than entertain yourself by seeing more fun offense. If you think
Okay, so next year, say we tank this year, we get our number 1 pick. You're going to pick a
we're not getting
quarterback?
the number 1 pick. I wish.
Well,
I don't
we're
believe
not
we
going to get the
number
number.
one
We might not get the number 1 pick, but if we were to get a top 5 pick, would you pick a quarterback up right away?
I would pick if you think he's a quarterback that can start for you. That's much better than if there's a guy that you think is worth a top 5 pick. That's much higher than you had Gabriel or Sanders graded, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think the problem is the Browns sneak a couple wins. They pick 8th. The Jaguars pick 10th. The best 3 quarterbacks in the league go 1, 2, and 4. Nobody will let you trade up to get them because they're like, no way, I'm
We
taking
need
these
quarterback.
guys. And now you're glad that you had Sanders and Gabriel because you couldn't get your guy. They were brought in as a emergency plan with some upside chance to be good, not for this year. They were brought in for just in case. And you were going to need a backup anyway. So at worst, one of them is going to be your backup. That's just my
Yeah.
thought process. I still think the most likely thing, if you said, Chad, you have to bet your salary on who's going to be the franchise quarterback for this team, Dylan, Shador, or literally a no-name person next year, I'd put my money down on next year. And that's why I'm not as excited to see Sanders, even with the idea that I think he could end up better than Dylan. That's why I'm not in a rush to see him, because the reality is he's your emergency plan. And if he's not good, they might just friggin' be hiding him because they want to trade him next offseason and they don't want him to go out there and get trounced and kill his trade value when they're like, dude, this guy's not going to win us any games. I say all the time, you guys have played sports, you've been in practice. It's not a lock, but you know when there's a guy on your team that just can't play, and you're not like, well, he can't play in practice, but if we get them out there in the real game, that's when it'll snap on. Like,
You
when
could
does
do
that
that
ever
though.
happen?
You could be like, hey, our offensive line will handle this guy a lot better than their offensive line is. So let's take him and see what he could do. Let's show America that everybody wants to see Shador Sanders play football. We haven't seen him in an NFL game yet, an actual, not a preseason game, a
I would
regular
say
game.
this: when we picked Sanders, a bunch of people called us to trade for Dylan. Is that fact? We all agreed that was true.
Yeah.
Do you think anybody's calling today?
Not right now.
And
So
supposedly
that
the
is the
rumor is
point
that
that playing him can actually hurt his trade value because Dylan
I
played
understand that.
and a bunch of teams offered us something for him. And I bet today nobody's calling at the trade deadline and saying, give us Dylan because he played and he looked like shit. That's all I've been saying the whole time is like, there is a chance that playing is worse. I hope it's not, but I just think everybody should be aware there's a chance that it's worse.
Yeah. Either
God, I hope
way.
not.
Let's move on.
We're gonna move past this, Brad, for time. Junkins stopped again. 9 carries, 19 yards, out with the shoulder sprain week to week. Thought it was worse when it said. I always think it's worse when they don't come back
It
out.
could be
right
worse.
away, but
It's a separated
yeah.
shoulder. It's just another matter of like,
bruise.
that's another injury I would put a month on, even a mild one. But they said they MRI'd it and it's week to week. And so it's like,
Man, if we lose
maybe
him, man,
we're lucky,
okay.
but I would not count it. I would say this. I would count on him being out for a couple games. I don't think I would be shocked if a separated shoulder, even a minor one, he made it back in less than 2 weeks for the Jets game or 2 weeks.
No Carson, no Junkins. Our team is falling apart. Did the offensive line hold up well against the New England Patriots? And I feel like they did. Now, I did not look, truthfully, I did not look at any scores or any stats or any data to find this, but I felt like they played efficiently enough for Dylan to play better than he should have. What do you guys think?
For the pass game, I think they did a little bit better. The run game, not so much. They weren't creating big enough holes, or the Patriots just knew right where we were going to go, right up the middle every time.
Which is possible. Their head coach was with our team for a year, and that's kind of the one negative of having another coach in the building that is going to go on to be a head coach somewhere else. Like, he's very well acquainted with both sides of our team. He was literally a consultant that worked with every facet of the team. So he knows every player and positions and coach's strengths and weaknesses. Bummer for us. But also, they're just stacking the box, and I agree with you. Like, they do not believe Dylan's going to throw it past him, so they're putting 6 people across the line of scrimmage and having another 2 right behind them, and they do not fear at all that we are going to be able to do anything to them.
What do you guys think of Vrabel's comments during the press after the game when he said once they got rid of their gimmick plays, they were pretty easy? I'm paraphrasing.
I'll tell you really quick. This was so embarrassing to this organization because the trick play, the flea flicker we tried and failed at, they did it their next set of downs and completely annihilated us with it. The flea flicker over to what was that? They passed one over to the wide receiver. He passed it back. That was a successful play as well. He was rubbing it in our face like, hey, you got that, but watch, we can execute this. So yeah, I quit with the trickery. Move the ball, not trickery.
Yeah, it was pretty
pretty bad. I mean, to the topic, I think I said before, our line wasn't great. This was probably our best line game since the first week. And so
sorry, I just saw Angel's picture down there.
But yeah, I agree with that comment. That's a tough one because it's like basically like a lot of people took it a little differently. I heard a lot of the reporters say like what he was referring to was like they caught us on a couple plays we didn't expect, but once we kind of settled, we stopped everything that they threw at us, which is true. We couldn't do anything to them. We couldn't run on them. I mean, 9 carries for 19 yards, guys. I'm talking about 2 yards a carry. With no big plays like we talked about that you need to kind of boost that. And then he got hurt. Judkins was out. I mean, I do like, and I've said this before, he ran it 19 times in 2 quarters and change. In less than 2.5 quarters, he ran it 19 times. So we were running it the way we wanted to run it, where we'd hopefully would wear them down and break one. But he didn't get the chance getting hurt. And I don't know. It's just like I said, they had all the answers for us. They were well coached. They have a much better quarterback.
He's good.
Could not be more frustrating to me that we picked second in this draft, and there was no one on the board worth picking a quarterback, and they picked third. And sitting right in front of them was my favorite quarterback from that whole draft,
Drake May.
And then 3 more quarterbacks proceeded to go after that, who all might be better than the guys that were in the first round of this draft. And like that's so frustrating that like no excuses for the year we picked Baker Mayfield. Josh Allen was on the board. I loved Sam Darnold. He didn't work out for a long time. His resurgence came later. Lamar Jackson, I didn't get mad at them because just when nobody believes you're that top guy, like, okay, but like, sure, we picked Baker. He was probably my second favorite guy in that draft. It turns out he was probably closer to like third, maybe second at best in the draft. But at least that year, we picked first. There was multiple options. If you had picked third that year, you probably still had a good option. If you had picked fifth, you probably still had a good option. Meanwhile, this year, if you didn't pick first, and even if you did, I didn't love Cam Ward. He was a like boomer bust candidate for me. It's just frustrating that the Browns picked so high and there was just nobody. And now we don't know where they're going to pick. But like, if there's not somebody sitting there, it's going to be very frustrating just not falling in the drafts at times where there's good guys. Like I remember last time we had that great spot at 2 and Carson Wentz was the option. And it was like, nope. Like, when is a Drake May just going to fall in our lap? Please. It's been 25 years. Can we not?
I mean, this draft can be pretty big if they come out. I like a couple guys, but Like, it depends what you pick at, right?
Mixed reviews. Everybody thinks it's
Yeah.
mixed reviews,
Mendoza.
which is not the worst thing. That's kind of what we had, I felt like, in 2020. There's mixed reviews. Some people said take Josh Allen first. Some said Darnold.
Baker.
Some said Baker. So I'm okay with mixed
Even
reviews.
Rosen, right?
What
Josh Rosen was in there a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't
He's
like
the
Josh
biggest
Rosen.
bust.
He just
He's
I
the
didn't like
biggest
him. I
bust.
didn't like his attitude. Usually when I don't like a guy, it's not physical. It's like I didn't like his attitude. He's
To
weird.
sum it up in one word of Angels today is we need a quarterback with sackage.
Sackage.
This team is sackage.
Yeah, literally.
A big,
Speaking
fat
of sackage,
watch.
our special teams continues to be unimpressive in the sackage category. Nonetheless, I mean, Smith, he missed a 50-something yarder, but I mean,
It
he's
wouldn't have
been pretty
mattered.
consistent. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered anyways.
And
I
also,
know,
yeah, we're
I'm,
never
I'm
going
being
to
such
judge.
a
We're
negative
never going to
Cleveland
judge a
fan today.
kicker for missing an almost 60-yarder. We're going to
Yeah.
judge him when we have those guys tanking these like 37 yarders that we absolutely need to win.
Yep.
So yeah, special teams stunk.
Straighten it up. We're going into our next segment: retweet or delete. Hit it, Mikey.
Retweet or delete.
All right, retweet or delete. The first one we have up. Okay. Retweet or delete. First one we have is by Daniel Uf. Say his last name for me.
Oh, you
Chad
said
loves saying it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
that again.
Yeah.
Mason Graham.
None of us can say it.
No, I can't even say it. Mason Graham ranks 11th out of 45 qualifying players in ESPN pass rush win rate metric as an interior defender, 11.6%. He's acknowledged his season has been up and down, and offensive tackle or wide receiver at 5 wasn't changing this offense, and the Browns knew they weren't a quarterback away. Do you guys retweet this or delete it?
I'd retweet it just for fun. See what happens. See what comments you get out of it. Chad loves it. I know he does.
No, here's the thing. So I think he is right for most of this. Like Mason Graham's been up and down. I think we kind of expected that the way they're changing the way he plays. But 11 out of 54 is pretty good for your rookie year. If the point of you being brought in is to switch you from like a run defender to a pass rusher, and you still pull off in your rookie year halfway through the year, coming almost to the top 10 out of over 50 people available, and by the end of the season, he may be in that top 10 the way he's elevating. I think that's true, and that's great. And I was on board with Mason Graham because I really liked Mason Graham as a prospect, and I was ready for us to finally just have a top defensive tackle. None of these like third, fourth round picks that we're hopeful for free agents. I wanted just a legit tackle to push guys out and help Miles, and we got it. What I don't agree with, and I would have said in the draft was true, an offensive tackle or wide receiver at 5 wasn't changing this offense. Really? Really? You don't think an offensive tackle right now, a top offensive tackle playing the way the ones that were drafted were taken, and I wasn't on board with taking one at the time because I didn't know we were going to have both of our guys injured in game 1, and I didn't know how good these guys were, but you don't think having a number 1 threat at wide receiver or having an offensive tackle who's an elite level starting offensive tackle changes this offense? Delete. Are you out of your mind? Of course. You don't think Flacco, you haven't seen Flacco, what he looks like when he has better receivers? Like we would have been just better from the rip with a better receiver. Instead, we have Isaiah Bond out there who didn't even join the team until like 5 days before the season started, being a major player on this team. And we were shuffling offensive tackles. We haven't even played a game where the 2 offensive tackles were the same the whole game, let alone several games in a row. Like, yes, they would have helped. This is a stupid tweet. If you're trying to defend Mason Graham, focus on Mason Graham. He's had an up and down season. He was a good pick though, and we weren't going to the Super Bowl with somebody picked at offensive tackle or wide receiver. But we sure as hell could have been a little better, and we're going to need those positions at some point, guys.
Speaking of wide receivers, Cedric Tillman might be back for the Jets game.
So I hear.
That would help. Maybe Jerry Jeudy could be wide receiver too at that point. But Mason, I wonder what he is implying is
I think people were
the
hitting on Graham and saying we shouldn't have picked Graham. We should have taken an
yeah.
offensive tackle or a wide
I
receiver.
wonder if he was saying the value of the player as far as wide receiver. Like who's the top receiver, the guy from Carolina, right? Like
Yeah,
was he going to change and typically it takes a receiver a year and a half to kind of really
probably.
hit their stride. So and the offensive tackle, was there a high rated offensive tackle at 5? Maybe not. So they thought to themselves, we're not going to get offensive tackle at 2 or 5. So why not just get a defensive tackle at 5? So this is the way I read it. So that's why
By
I
the way,
would
Will
retweet
Campbell
this.
got smoked by Myles Garrett, so he's
Yeah.
playing better than our tackles, but he's not like he's
he's
yeah,
not
not
the
like he's
yeah,
unstoppable.
yeah. So
But
that's why
yeah, no, I think
I retweeted.
I agree with you. The tweet is right. It just didn't like that he put like an offensive tackle and wide receiver weren't going to help this offense. Of course they were going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I didn't like
Phrase it
that. Yeah,
differently.
that's what
Phrase it
yeah.
differently.
Yeah, like you're like our worst position outside of Dylan Gabriel is actually our whole offense sucks. So if you would have put a
Right.
better left
Anyone
tackle,
on this
maybe you
offense would
would
have
have
helped.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's okay to say offensive tackle and wide receiver could have helped this team, but in the long run, Mason Graham was the
It
best
was a good pick. Yeah.
that time. We didn't know that DeJuan Jones was going to get injured for the season in game 1. That's fair
And
to change the
and credit to the organization to pairing him up with Malik Collins, who's teaching him how to be a good defensive tackle, pairing them together. And they made some good moves, but that's probably one of the low underrated moves that no one's talking about. So shout out to our front office for that. Our last retweet or delete. I'm going to end this on a funny note because we hate Pittsburgh so much. I saw this tweet and I had to send it into WhatsApp.
Andrew Filipponi.
Andrew Filipponi says is it's funny because there's 2 former Browns players on there, so we can relate. Is Jabril Peppers dead? Why do I have to watch Chuck Clark and Juan Thornhill you miss tackles and get beat on every big play in coverage? Welcome to our life, Andrew. You thought Juan Thornhill was going to save your defense when you guys picked him up. Little did you know he is going to hurt your defense.
I follow
retweet.
Andrew Filipponi, and he is he is wrong more than anyone in sports radio I've heard. You guys have seen I've been like really critical of Rizzo because he goes off on this stuff that I just don't think he's right on, and he's so passionately wrong. And he's like, if you're gonna be wrong, do it with like pizzazz. So I appreciate that, and all props to him. He's just the ultimate entertainer. Filipponi is not the ultimate entertainer, and he's wrong all the time. And I've never seen somebody so adamantly wrong. I can promise you, if you went and looked through the spring, there is some tweet in there where he's like, the Pittsburgh Steelers swiped Juan Thornhill from the Browns, and they'll regret it for the rest of their days, or something like that. He's so happy to have no idea what he's talking about, but just adamantly post it. Delete this and probably just delete your account, Tony. This is like this is just such a classic Pony tweet to be like, but yeah, welcome to what everyone was saying about this guy when you got all excited about picking him up. He's not a great safety.
Not at all.
Hey, we
Mike,
witnessed that firsthand. So thank
Retweet.
you guys for taking them off our hands.
And I love how he was just on his socials, kind of like, hey, I'm in Pittsburgh now. He threw his Browns hat off as a Pittsburgh. I was like, dude, you don't understand how fans are excited that you're gone. And he even tweeted about some stuff that fans tweeted of calling him that he gave up on a play, but nonetheless. Oh, and by the way, he did say that Watt was better than Miles. In the Pittsburgh, one of the Pittsburgh players have their podcast. I saw that pop up on my Reels feed. Last topic of the day, coach talk. So hypothetically, we fire Kevin. What is your coaching list look like? I know this is you probably should be doing this next week, but let's just give me a quick
primer.
name.
Just be a primer.
Yeah.
Can I give you a name that somebody gave me that's just going to make you like fall out of your seat this week in social media?
Better not be Jay Gruden.
It is Tommy Reese. Somebody said, hire Kevin Stefanski, promote Tommy Reese to head coach, and then bring in another offensive coordinator next year. Everyone's complaining about this offense. It's not creative. It's not fun. Nothing
And they
is
want to
going
bring in
well.
the
You have a
yeah.
first-year offensive coordinator who doesn't even call the plays yet, and this is how lost some of these fans are, that they're like, "My first choice is Tommy Rees."
Yeah, not a
What
good
possibly
choice.
makes you believe he's head coaching material at this juncture?
I've heard bring
Oh my
Jim
God.
Schwartz over and find
Yep.
another defensive coordinator.
I do not want to take Jim Schwartz away from the one thing that he is
He's
just
good at.
absolutely lights out at, and I don't want our defense to go through a new defensive coordinator. I'm sure he would try to hire somebody that like does his scheme, but again, you just have to fill guys in this year. I I don't want to do it. I've heard a lot of John Gruden.
No.
If you are worried about the Browns offense being in the past and us being outdated and needing to be more creative and excited, like, he's passionate. I love him. I love watching him. But if you're looking for like fresh ideas, I'm not sure they're coming from somebody that's been out of football for a decade and, coached in the 2000s. That that's
That's
probably
why you
not
got Tommy
what's good.
Reese. Tommy Reese, you got him, and you got that old school mentality might help him.
And nothing against Tommy.
Uh,
Maybe he'll turn out to be good one day, but like he's been in the league for like 2 years. We're ready to make him a head coach. He's
Yeah.
like 28. Like,
It's like 10.
Yeah.
You guys like Matt LaFleur? Green Bay's coach?
I mean, it's hard to argue against.
He has a brother that is the offensive coordinator of the Rams.
Yep.
That would be my
And
guy.
runs a similar offense
And
to
runs the
him.
same offense.
Matt LaFleur, it's hard to argue with a guy that can take Josh Jacobs is awesome, but we've had great running backs here. Hard to argue with a guy who can take Romeo Dobbs, mid, Golden, rookie, decent rookie, Reed, I think was a late second rounder, slot receiver. Like he just has a collection of Browns like receivers, Tillman, Judy. Like he has a collection of those guys. They're better. They have more of them and they're more established. But he's got a collection of guys that are like wide receiver 2 or 3s on a lot of squads. And they have a passing game that's just outstanding. Kraft is in the end zone constantly. They know how to use 2 tight end sets. Like
Yep.
and the Rams are another example of like, yeah, their
Sean
quarterback is
McVay.
way better than ours and way better than anybody we've had in the entire history of our new franchise, maybe ever. Stafford might be better than anybody we've had since Otto Graham, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they've had all this turmoil, turnover, guys getting old. They didn't have all these
They
first-round
still
draft
win.
picks because they traded for Stafford. He finds a way to plug guys in and make it work. Both of those offenses show that name would be the first exciting name for my list. You
Yeah.
can't hire him today. That's a talk for like if we
Yeah,
hired him,
that's
they
a talk
fire
play.
the offensive
I like the idea of him because he's offensive guy. He's learning from Sean McVay, who's by far one of the best offensive geniuses. I mean, he finds talent, and maybe Mike LaFleur can learn how to find talent. Receivers, Puka Nacua was like a 5th round guy, and he's like always leading the friggin' stats. So that would be the guy on my list.
It would
first
be, and
guy,
that's
'cause-
part of why I advocate for if you're going to fire these guys, do it after the season. I still don't know
Yeah.
that that's a great situation to get a guy here, given like where we're at with the quarterback situation. But I will say, you've got a better shot to not have to bring in a new coaching staff mid-season and then change them again. I'd rather just same thing I said about the court. I'd rather just wait it out, be miserable, and I am on Sundays, and just set yourself up for the better situation later.
Yep. With that, that's the end of the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. But we do want to tell you tomorrow night at 7:00, 7 to about 8, 7 to about 7:45, we will be going live on YouTube, and we will be doing our interview with Mayor Orcutt from Brook Park, Ohio. We talked to him about Browns. We talked to him about the stadium being built in downtown in Brook Park, Ohio. And what really impressed me is the High School Hall of Fame and everything that he shared about that really impressed me to the point where I'm like, I think if you're local here, you'll get a lot more out of that than you even do the stadium because of what the High School Hall of Fame is going to bring to Brook Park and the vision that they're going to expand this to is simply amazing. So tune in from 7 to about 7:45 on on YouTube. We will share the links on all our socials once it goes live. So tune in, watch that interview. Me and Sam, I thought we did pretty good considering we were wearing hoodies and a hood and a hat, and he was in a 3-piece suit. He was I kind of made him crack
Got
a
to keep it
smile a
real,
little bit.
man of the people.
Yeah, he was a man
Yeah.
of the people. He was very very, put together. Smiled a little bit. Former veteran Navy for 8 years. Great guy. So tune in tomorrow on our YouTube for that.
He
Follow
knows
Believe it or not,
everybody
guys, I
listening.
think-
He knows everybody
I think-
listening is going to look just like you guys. So he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, what? I'm not going to say anything about this. Like, this is Cleveland, baby.
I think Angel likes the Mayor Brook Park more than he does Kenny Pickett. For all you non-believers out there,
Ooh. I would say too,
Yeah.
this is it's an impactful interview. Like for people, like it's a cool person to have on at this time because now that we know the stadium's happening, there's just no talk. Whether you wanted it or whether you didn't want it, it's happening. So it should be valuable for just about everybody, whether you wanted Brook Park to be involved or not, to see this guy and like hear about some of his vision and like what he's thinking. Because I think that for anybody, pro or con the move to the other side of town, like I just think it's a cool thing to get to hear from the guy who's going to have a giant part in how this all shakes out with Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Listen to the interview. He breaks stuff down. It's really good. So tune in tomorrow from 7 to 7:45. 45-minute interview. Went great. One last thing. If he continues to sit, the louder he gets. Play Shador. Until next time. Like always, go Browns.
go Browns.